So I am starting with a half sink full of wild blackberries. My grandfather has some of these that grow by a lake by his house, and he went and picked me 3 pots full and brought them to me. So I'm going to make blackberry jam. I'm soaking them just to kind of get some of the dirt off. As you can see, it's got little twigs and stuff from where he picked them. So I'm just going to rinse these off really well, and then I've got a great big bowl that I'm going to start crushing them and seeing how much I have. Now I am going to, I guess, slightly strain these. I've got my this thing here for when I make jelly and I scrape foam and stuff off, but I don't have a metal sieve, so I'm going to use this, and this should be small enough to catch some of the seeds. Like I said, wild blackberries have more seeds than normal blackberries, I guess, or some that you would buy from the store. So I don't want to get all of the seeds out. I don't mind having some, but I want to try to get some of them out. So I'm going to drain these and handfuls at a time, put them into my bowl, and get my potato masher and mash them up. Alright, so I've got some. Yes, I'm wearing a glove because my hands will be stained purple forever if I don't. I'm taking out the ones that have great big pits. I don't know if you'll be able to see. It's getting dark here and the light isn't too well. But it's a great big pit. And I've just kind of covered the bottom, not too thick. You can see there's still a ton of blackberries, but I'm trying to figure out how much I got, and I usually do it in 8-cup batches. So you can use your potato masher. I just got this here. I know it's non-traditional, and I'm just going to start crushing the berries, and I'm going to do that with all of them until I get them in here, but this is easier just to do in batches and at layers at a time. That way you can make sure to get them. I got a fussy baby. I'm going to go put her down too, because I will never get this done as long as she is underfoot. Alright, so I got a layer in here. As you can see, there was just enough to cover the bottom. And instead of a potato masher, because it's so big and huge, and I'm just using my pastry cutter and just mashing these down a layer at a time. I said I'm not totally macerating them, just kind of letting the juices come out. And then you can see I still got a full sink of berries. So I'm going to keep doing this layer at a time and smashing all the berries down, and then we'll move right on to the next step. So I got it all pretty mashed. I'm going to use my ladle here. This is an 8-cup measuring cup. So like I said, I do 8 cups at a time. So I'm going to put it on the sieve and put it through into my measuring cup, and then I'll get started on cooking it. So I've got my spatula here that I'm going to use to run it through. So let me get my 8 cups and we'll be back. Alright guys, so I know I told you jam before, but my sieve worked a lot better than I expected it to, and there was a crazy amount of seeds in these. So what I'm going to do, as you can see, I'm going to have to do 2 batches because I've still got a ton of berries and juice to go. So I'm going to have to get my food mill or my strainer, my KitchenAid straining attachment out and do these, because that was a pain. But now that I'm switching gears to jelly, the amount of juice that I need is different, and all the things that I need are different. So I've got here 6 cups of blackberry juice, and I'm starting to bring it up to a boil. I got it on high heat, and before I start, I want to go ahead and add my pectin in here. So for 6 cups of juice, I'm going to need 8 tablespoons of pectin. And 8 tablespoons is half a cup, so I'm going to put my pectin in and then just take my whisk, and I'm going to whisk all of this in. There we go. And make sure that you're using metal and plastic stuff, because if you're using wood, it will take your half wherever you touch this and it will stain it so bad. My fingers, I said I wore gloves, but you can still see my fingers starting a little pink. So I wore gloves because I knew I would never, I'm the type of person, I dirty up every dish in the kitchen making a bowl of cereal. So if I was going to make a mess, it's going to happen to me. So I got my jars in here. They've all been washed with soap water, and now they're just sitting in here with my canner's heating up. I got my kettle going, start getting hot for some. I know it says you don't have to do that to your lids anymore, but I still like to soak my lids. I guess old habits die hard. I'm going to soak my lids. I got my vinegar here for the rims. I've got 2 extra jars in case. Oh, and I am using the regular pectin for this. I usually use the low sugar, but I don't have any. So this is the one I've got in the pantry, and this is the one that I'm going to use. So 8 tablespoons of this, 6 tablespoons of juice, and here I have got 6 tablespoons of juice, 6 cups of juice. I've got 6 cups of sugar here already out. I forgot to mention, I'm going to add a teaspoon or 2-ish to my pot. That way, as it starts to come, when it comes to a hard boil, it does not foam nearly as much. It keeps the foam down. That way I don't have, I hate having to skim all the foam off, because that's juice. I could use that. So I like to add a little bit of butter to mine just to keep it from foaming so bad. Alright, so we have attained hard boil. You can see that even though I am stirring it, it is still bubbling vigorously away. So what I'm going to do is I take my whisk and I whisk in my sugar. I guess that's why I put it in the spout cups. That way it makes it easier to pour. And I don't like doing it at one big clump, because then you get big clumps of sugar and they take forever to get out. So if I pour and whisk at the same time, it keeps it from getting super clumpy pieces of sugar, and it just makes it a lot nicer and smoother. So I'm going to put the camera down so I can get the sugar in, but hard boil has been reached. I'm going to add my sugar and hard boil it for 1 more minute, and then we'll be ready to start canning. So the sugar is in, and I'm going to bring this back up to a hard boil and let it hard boil for 1 minute. My jars are ready to go. It started to boil away, so I turned it down just a touch, just to keep everything hot and sterilized while I finish boiling this. And I got my lids, I just put them in. I got my whisk handy just in case, because you never know. And a testing spoon. You always have to test it, make sure it tastes how you want it to taste. And this tastes really good. So, like I said, bring this up to a hard boil and hard boil it for 1 minute. I have my old towel down that I'm going to also use as a hot pad. I'm going to put where my phone's at, I'm going to move it. I'm going to put the jelly, I'm going to put my jars and everything here, and I'm going to put the canner here. So that way it's just one solid fluid movement from this pot to that pot. But this should be hard boiled, and I've still got the temperature on high. I haven't touched it. Keep it on high. Alright, so it's done. I'm going to start filling my jars. I fill them 1/4 inch from the top. Make sure you debubble. I said I'm only one-handed. This is going to be really difficult to do. Alright, I figured I'd do one with you guys real quick, just in case. I said I like to work rather quickly because the jelly sets super fast, but hey. Alright, got my funnel. And we need 1/4 inch from the top, which I promise does not look like a whole lot. But I tend to go a little lower, just I don't want it overflowing and too high. There we go. Don't forget to wipe your lids, and I use straight vinegar. I said, what did I tell you about the mess? Do you see all this? I said that is one promise I can deliver, is I will mess up everything in the kitchen on something super, super simple. Alright. Lid. Fingertip tight. Don't wrench it down. I got to get a towel because it's hot. And then into the canner it goes. So it's all in the canner. This is my pressure canner that also doubles as my water bath canner. So I've got all the holes open. Wait for it to come to a boil. Process it for 10 minutes. And it'll be ready to go. So I'll start the timer as soon as I can tell that it's rolling boil. So I have my timer because I am so bad about forgetting. And as you can see, my mess. Looks like a tornado went through in here. So I need to start getting this clean before it's too late. And then I've still got all these over here that I have to start straining and doing. I said this was a bad idea. I gotta break out the big guns. So let me get this done, and I'm just gonna do the same thing and make a bunch of batches. And I hope you try it, and I hope you enjoy. So here they are, all out of the canner, and one for the fridge.